Bust it.
Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform. My name is Amechi Anakwe. Now, it took a long while since June 12, 1993 when MKO Abiola was coasting home to be declared winner of that very controversial presidential election. It was almost making history for the first time. A Muslim ticket getting the approval of a majority of Nigerians from across the geopolitical zone. Having the confidence that the two, that's MKO Abiola and Babagana Kingibe, would indeed take the nation to a promised land. But the military struck. Former military dictator Ibrahim Babangida has decided to cut that joy short several decades after President Muhammad Buhari yesterday announced the recognition of June 12th as Nigeria's real democracy day. Before now, it's been May 29th, when Obasanjo ushered in and heralded the Fourth Republic when he was handed over the powers of the state by Abdulsalami Abubakar. Not just about proclaiming June 12th Nigeria's Democracy Day, the president yesterday also announced the award posthumously of GCFR and GCON to MKO Abiola and, of course, Babagana Kingibe, the running mate in that election, and late human rights activist Chief Gani Fawemi. But some persons are already drawing attention to the legality, they call it, of what the president proposed. That you cannot award the national honors posthumously to some category of Nigerians. The act establishing the national honors was very clear in stating that you can only award it posthumously to soldiers and other servicemen. I recall at the heat of the death of Dr. Adedevo, the heroine that tried to stop the incursion of Ebola into Nigeria. So many Nigerians asked that she be honored posthumously with the national honors. But the secretary to the government of the Federation then explained that you cannot do it posthumously. But the president has done it now. How legal it is, how can we advance it from here? And not to talk about the insinuations by some people that it is all about politics. But another thing that appeared to have taken the light off the action of the president yesterday was the mistake in the press statement he personally signed. The president was making reference to the first time democracy was restored in 1979. Instead of 1st October, what we saw in that press statement, which is being circulated largely and widely on the social media, the president made reference to 21st October 1979. Many are asking, who are those writing the speeches and doing the secretarial jobs? But away from that, in the National Assembly, they came hard on the Minister of Defense yesterday, who suggested suspension of the anti-open grazing law. And they said he must withdraw. One of the chambers of the National Assembly says the minister must withdraw that statement. My colleagues are here. Adebayo Bodere, welcome to Political Platform.
Yeah, thank you, Amishi. Let me begin from the statement itself. I think it is a national embarrassment if you cannot accurately capture the historical dates in our national life. To say it mildly, is a thing that ought not to occur at all, because everybody knew that former President Shehu Shagari took over on October 1, 1979. That was the date the then transition program of the Murtala Obasanjo regime terminated. The transition program ended on that day, and at Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos, there was an historic ceremony, the handover of power to President Shehu Shagari. So to refer to that date as October 21, it also still raises one vital question of our of the previous decision in our national life that history does no longer matter. I don't think it is too good for us that if I even misinform younger generation, they don't even know because they have not been exposed to historical facts.
Maybe it's the printer's devil.
That and then it was circulated. I think it's a national embarrassment.
Signed personally by the president.
I think that's the way that is the way I will end it. But the issue is, Honorary Abiola, yes, it is necessary that Abiola needs to be honored for a man who won an election, for a man whose mandate was annulled without justifiable reasons. It deserves to be honored, and what I think the president did need to be commended. But he needs to go a step further. Abiola, yes, he symbolized that struggle for the restoration of Nigeria, of democracy in Nigeria. But there are several Nigerians, including those who lost their life in the fight for the struggle to restore democracy.
To actualize June 12th.
But not just actualize June 12th. Yeah, it is good that Gani Fawehinmi is remembered. At least Gani Fawehinmi led JACON. That was the group he formed then. But side by side, there was also a formidable group. You have Nadeko and you have the Campaign for Democracy. You have people like Shima Ubani, who lost his life fighting for democracy in Nigeria. Shima Ubani, very, very young, he just left university and he was elected Secretary General of CD, Campaign for Democracy. He was being haunted everywhere, and he died on a road accident between Maiduguri and Yobe. Doing what? Fighting for democracy in Nigeria. People like that ought to be remembered. And even the man who founded CD, Bekora and Kuti, he also need to be honored. These are people who play key role. And you have people like Shombagu. You have people like Femi Falana. You have people like Titus Mann who are detained, who are dehumanized. You also have people like Bagado Akato and Chinedu Ofo, journalists doing their job that were killed. So it's not just a case. If you want to really remember June 12th as an historic day, those who play key role in making it possible for the military to agree in the first place to hold that election also need to be honored. And so when you talk of Beko, when you talk of Olisa Agbakoba, Ayo Obe, Balarabe Musa, Ayo Padokun, these are individuals that play key role that led to what other Nigerians are now enjoying. People who did not utter a word in the struggle for democracy in Nigeria.
Adebayo Boduri is speaking with so much emotion because himself, he was an integral part of that struggle. He was on the streets of Lagos. He was also hounded by security agencies, and they were running from pillar to post, traveling all night to ensure that the protests and the advocacy and agitation continue. So when he speaks with so much emotion, you can understand. My other colleague is here, Sholaji Aisimi.
Yeah, the passion with which Adebayo Boduri is speaking, is probably reminiscing the days, as a much younger reporter and as a pro civil rights campaigner, democracy activist, and he's pouring it all out. Well, those who don't know the events of that period, I remember some of us were just about getting to the higher institution during that period, June 12th era. And we know what happened in the University of Lagos as well, the halu-balu over the annulment. But going beyond what the president has done, Amechi, you have rightly mentioned the fact that is the president acting on solid legal footing, because the National Honors List of 1964 clearly,
the act
clearly points out that only living people get. I remember during the Adadavo era, Dr. Stella, I put a call through then to the secretary of the National Honors Committee, a serving permanent secretary in the SGF's office. I can't remember his name, Adekunle or something. And he said, Mr. Editor, that honors is for only living people. Probably government will look at something else to do for Dr. Stella.
I remember vividly.
And clearly, the president has done this. Legally, is it correct? Is it right?
How well was he guided in making
decisions? Some have pointed to the fact that it's probably an appeasement. Is it to a geopolitical zones or to the human rights community? Why am I saying this? Look at the sequence. In 2012, on May Day, on Democracy Day of that year, President Jonathan himself announced the renaming of my alma mater, Unilag, as MKO University.
And you were one of those that resisted it.
Yeah, no, we've already left the place then. And and I remember clearly the halubalu, the noise over that incident.
Close an election.
Yes. No, it wasn't close. He had just spent 1 year in office there. But this one now, it's a year to another election. Closer to an election year. A 2-year time span, looking at the differentials. And he's saying, I'm talking about the president now, saying, look, I am doing so and so. And a key point we must raise is that, look, a year after election, this is happening. January 1st of that year, there was fuel price increase. And the Save Nigeria group, then led by Pastor Tunde Bakari, who was a year before the running mate to President Buhari.
In CPC.
Yes, in the CPC. And what was the comment they made? The spokesman of that group, I'm talking about Yinka Odumaki, who is also the National Press Secretary of the Afenifere.
And we'll be speaking with him much later.
Oh, beautiful. Program. He said then, and I quote, said, while acknowledging the place of Abiola in the political history of Nigeria, we want the highest political honor given to him. Now, President Buhari has done that. But where is this standing is another thing entirely, Amechi.
Well, very interesting. But all this does not remove the commendation that should go the way of the president, even though some people see it as political. For 16 years and more, there were pressures on the PDP-led government to really get this thing done, but they stuck to their gun, insisting that May 29 remains the Democracy Day. Was it also done to spite former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who once described the MKO as not the Messiah we are looking for, and who will not want to hear of June 12th? Well, these are some of the permutations going on out there. But let's first take a break. Thank you so much. We're making efforts to reach Yinka Odumaki, spokesperson of the Afenifere, the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Cultural Organizations, for his perspectives on the recognition given to Chief MKO Abiola, a great man indeed.
Well as, yes. And
Baba Gana King,
who is much alive.
Yes, and a very 70s. Strong ally of the president.
Exactly.
Now. Maybe he was even influential in this
decision taken by the president, which is standing on on shaky ground, legally speaking. Now, of course, the president has the right. I'm talking about President Buhari to do this. Issues about national honors is the 4th item on the exclusive legislative list in the Nigerian 1999 Constitution. So the president has a right to give honors and awards to who, but to who do you give it? How qualified? On what premise is the president able to do this? 2 things I'll quickly look at before we get across to our expected phone-in guest, Yinka Odumaki. The issue about the honors itself, item 4, like I said. Then item 51 on the same exclusive legislative list, which talks about public holidays. This clearly also falls within the purview of the federal government, because something executive, something at the higher level. But let's not forget that even before now, some states in this country, especially in the southwestern part of this country, had declared June 12th
as the official democracy.
Exactly. In contravention of the Constitution.
Well, no, not contravention, as it were. The Public Holiday Act, I checked it up. Some persons were saying on the social media that it must be an act of parliament, that the National Assembly must take action before such a declaration of public holiday takes effect. But the National Assembly, a look at that Public Holidays Act, and it says the public holidays in Nigeria are those that are contained in the act as passed by the National Assembly, and that the president or governor of a state can also declare public holidays. So they have the powers at the state level by the governors and at the federal level by the president.
But doesn't it contravene the Constitution based on the fact
what does the Constitution say there?
The Constitution says it's on the exclusive legislative list. So the Constitution needs to be amended.
So we need to tidy up the lacuna in our laws. But let's bring in Yinka Odumaki, the spokesperson of the Afenifere. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Good morning.
So you've been campaigning and insisting that June 12 be recognized. Now you have it. Good news, no doubt.
Well, it's a good news. We accept the decision and we commend it because June 12 actually the Democracy Day, because that's the landmark for democracy in this country. And we are happy that this has been done at this stage. Although we believe that, as I've said, that the essence of June 12th, it's not about just declaring Democracy Day or giving Abiola posthumous honor of GCFR, which a civil here says is illegal. But the essence and the spirit of June 12th, which is about free and fair elections. So we'll take this very seriously and fully commend it right from on July 14 to the next set of elections in 2019, that we allow free, fair, credible elections, peaceful, without let of hindrance, that people are allowed to choose their leaders, which is the essence of June 12. When that is fully respected, that's when we will not see this as just a mere political gimmick or attempt to buy to get votes from people.
Do you think it's an attempt to curry the favor of the Southwest in the 2019 elections?
Well, if that's the intendment, it's a mistake. Because the issues confronting Nigeria today are beyond all this. The major essence of June 12 was that Nigerians from across border, from different divides across regions, can live together in peace and harmony. But today we have a situation where Fulani men are killing people in droves all over the country, and people have been killed in the north, in the southwest, and nobody is checking this killing that has been on all over the country. These are not the decisions of themselves. So if it's about voting votes, it's still talking. I think controversial. So this is to give honor to June 12 and Abiola to commend it. And again too, because we also saw the attempt, when you bring Abiola in, you bring Kigibe in as GCON, by law, in actual fact, you cannot bestow national honors on dead persons, which means that the only beneficiary of the national honor will be Babagana Kigibe, who betrayed you and became KO. So that's an issue for the government.
So you believe is that he does not merit, Babagana Kigibe does not merit that GCON award?
On account of June 12, he does not deserve it, because he betrayed June 12. He went to serve Abacha. He betrayed Abiola. He didn't stand for the mandate. He renounced the mandate by serving Abacha as a minister. So he does not deserve it. But it seems that he is the only beneficiary of this award now, because I remember that in 2014, when Adadebo laid down her life to stop Ebola in this country, some of us suggested that she should be honored posthumously. And that's when we are made to realize to do that law that says, oh no, this honor can be bestowed on those who are living. And it says something for a whole government. If there's nobody in this administration, from the
I think we are having a problem with our connections, but we'll try and get him back online again.
I see the strong points that Mr. Odumaki made there. He said that Babagana Kingibe betrayed June 12th. That's what he's saying. In not too many words, because if you recall, following the issues around June 12th, Babagana served as Minister for Foreign Affairs under the Abacha administration.
I think we'll have him back online now.
Yeah, I was saying that it is very disastrous and says a lot about this administration. If from the office of Attorney General down the line to all those nobody knows in this administration that can only bestow national honors on those who are living, then we're in greater danger that many actions are being taken without even reference to law, without being aware of what they are doing. And you had Democracy Day on May 29. This now occurred to you. Somebody just give over 9 and say, oh, let's not realize you just jump over without looking at the laws. It showed the shoddiness in the hands of God.
But let me ask you this question, Yinka. The June 12th was a process. There was initial agitation by determined Nigeria for the restoration of democracy, and which culminated in the election itself. Are you comfortable with the fact that so many people who play key roles, like Shima Ubani, who lost his life fighting for democracy in Nigeria, Titus Man, Shombagu, Alfred Riwani, Ayobe, Bekora, some Kuti and others, that there is nobody who is recognizing them on any basis today.
It's not yet time for honor in the land. And that's why many people want to see that what's been done to MK Abiola is this in the light of 2019. But bear with me, like I said, we accept and commend the decision. But it's also true that really, from what I've said, it's not yet time for honor in Nigeria. We're in the midst of killings. There is no day now we open newspaper now that we don't find killings on Nigerians. Even with the time when Nigeria fought civil war, there were days that there were no killings. But today, there is no declared war. But cattle herders are killing all over Nigeria on daily basis.
This one will be hard to take on daily basis. Is it on daily basis that we'll hear of these killings?
Look at the front page of New Telegraph today. Herders killed 2 NECO candidates, 7 others in Benue. Today, any day, in fact, some of us are just praying that maybe the herders who are killing will also declare June 12 a killing free day. At least one day they will not kill.
Well, yes, you have said there are reservations about that action by the president, but beyond that, don't you think that he deserves a pat on the back? A pat on the back for doing what the PDP for 16 years could not do?
Well, we have said that we commend the action, right? And it's a gesture we commend, but the source of the interest is about Nigeria living in harmony, not Nigerians every day. And we are asking those who are being capable and living in their neighbor. We must address the question of killing going on in the land, in the source of interest, and how few elections, that is a gesture that's not enough to buy the love grant for education. The government has to do the right thing by ensuring that the guarantee the future of not for property, the bring about unified Nigeria, and allow a place where the government can their choice rules, so that people are going to create things to kill them.
Okay, we'll just have to thank you so much, Yinko Dumaki, for your time.
That is it.
So it's instructive there. The fact that he's saying, look, beyond the conferment of national honor on Abiola posthumously, which Mr. Dumaki has also said has a questionable legal footing, the issues about good governance in Nigeria, the issues about the need for those in authority to look at the Nigerian project as a whole and to see how the Nigerian nation can really be a nation state.
Well, it's also good to also remark on this program that tomorrow will be exactly 20 years when General Sani Abacha died. General Sani Abacha is on record to have been the one that detained MKO Abiola, who is being honored by the present administration.
And some critics of the president have said he defended Abacha's regime some few weeks or 2 weeks back, and today he's honoring the man that the Abacha regime ensured his death. What a contradiction, they say. But things happen and life goes on. Thank you so much for being part of Political Platform today. We'll be here again on Friday for the very last edition of the week.